Hey everyone, let's dive into something that's been on my mind lately. You know that whole idea of a collective unconscious? Yeah, it's not really a thing. What's actually happening is a bit more complex, and it involves time. Our memories, for example, aren't fixed in stone. We can actually tweak them. You might not think about it often, but we're all dealing with times we don't consciously perceive. And yet, we can tap into those hidden moments. The real challenge? Figuring out how to access them. I'm sure you've heard of the terms subconscious or unconscious. They're kind of catch-all words that mean we don't fully understand how they work. But there's something happening beneath the surface, a mystery of sorts, that lets us access parts of our own time that aren't as clear to us in the moment. Now, imagine there are unperceivable times in the way we experience time. These hidden gaps allow us to alter the flow of our life in ways we might not even notice. It's like our life is unfolding in another timeline that doesn't exist for the reality we see. And in that alternate reality, there are other versions of us who are also experiencing unperceivable time, gathering data from their own futures. They're kind of like scouts exploring tomorrow so we can gain insights today. So, here's the kicker. What if time isn't this neat, straight line we've always thought it was? Jean-Pierre Garnier-Mallet, a pretty interesting guy, came up with this idea that time works more like a tree. Instead of just going from point A to point B, it branches off in different directions. Like split-in paths that create parallel realities. It's almost like time speeds up and slows down at the same time, coexisting in different places. When you think about it, that's exactly what's happening. While you're reading this, part of you is experiencing time in a much slower pace, and another part of you is moving way faster through these alternate paths. Think of it like watching a movie, but not just as a viewer. You're also the character. The viewer sees everything play out at a steady pace, while the character's running through scenes at lightning speed. The crazy part? Both are you. Both are real. And what's even more fascinating, when we sleep, especially during REM sleep, those deep, dream-filled moments, something really wild happens. While your body is snoozing, there's an energetic part of you that goes on these little missions through time. It's like you've got access to these ultra-brief windows, moments so small that your conscious mind can't even detect them. During those split-second gaps, you're jumping into potential futures, testing them out like someone trying on clothes before making a final decision. Ever had that feeling in your gut that told you to avoid something? Or that weird sense of certainty about which door to open? Maybe you've even dreamed about a conversation before it happened. These aren't just coincidences or some mystical powers at play. No, they're actually glimpses of your accelerated self, quietly reporting back from its time-traveling reconnaissance missions. This might sound like sci-fi, but believe it or not, it's grounded in real science. The physics are clear. Time actually dilates and contracts depending on speed and gravity. You've probably heard about atomic clocks on airplanes showing time shifting, right? Well, Garnier-Mallet took that principle and applied it to our consciousness. He argues that our awareness creates its own gravitational field that warps the flow of time around it, kind of like how light bends around massive stars. So, picture this. You're standing at a fork in the road. Regular thinking tells you to pick one path, either left or right. But what if you could send out scouts down both trails first? And these scouts move so fast that they come back with answers before you've even taken your first step. That's what's happening when we sleep, particularly in REM. You're accelerated double races ahead to gather data, testing out what could happen if you took certain actions. Then it slips back through those tiny temporal gaps and passes along valuable insights to you. It's like getting a sneak peek at the future before making the big decisions. The mind-blowing part about all of this is that this phenomenon isn't something new. The ancients knew about it long before we did. You know how in the original Greek alphabet there were exactly 27 letters? That wasn't just some random number. Each letter represented a different path in time, a kind of temporal division. The ancient Greeks, in their own way, understood something we've only just started to piece together. When they talked about aura as a division of time, they weren't just being metaphorical or poetic. They were speaking about something real and technical, something we're now starting to rediscover. Think about indigenous shamans and mystics throughout history. They've described journeys through dreams where they experience time differently, sometimes even bilocating, existing in two places at once. And children? They often talk about having invisible friends who know things they couldn't possibly know. For us, we might brush it off as imagination, or we might call it primitive beliefs. But what if they were just describing the same thing we're learning now, just in different languages? Now, here's where it gets interesting. Time is becoming more accessible. It's like the walls between different versions of time are starting to thin. We're in the final moments of a great cycle, and these once hidden divisions are starting to become clearer. It's almost as though we're developing new senses, ones that allow us to perceive things we couldn't before. It's like how ultraviolet light has always existed, but we couldn't see it until we got the right equipment. What if that's happening to our consciousness now? And this shift isn't just some philosophical idea. It's got real-world consequences for how we make decisions and interact with the world. The key idea here is that every major decision you make has already been explored by a faster version of yourself, your accelerated twin. The challenge, though, is figuring out how to tap into these insights and how to distinguish them from all the noise that clouds our judgment in everyday life. There are people who naturally excel at accessing these temporal insights. Artists who seem to download symphonies or entire books, scientists who wake up with the answer to a complex problem, writers whose characters feel more alive than their own creations. These people aren't some sort of superhumans. They're just more attuned to the channels between their temporal selves. Their mechanism operates through what Garnier Mall calls temporal openings, which are those imperceptible moments between the frames of time. Now, think about déjà vu for a second. It's not a glitch in memory, like most of us are taught to believe. No, it's much more than that. When you experience déjà vu, your present self is briefly catching up with what your accelerated self has already experienced. It's like your current self is syncing up with a version of you that's been there, done that, and is now reporting back. That feeling of familiarity, it's not just a trick of the mind. It's real. You've actually been there before, just not in the way you usually understand time. All this knowledge starts to change how we think about uncertainty. Instead of being overwhelmed with anxiety about the future, we can trust that another part of us has already scouted the path ahead. The future is already out there, waiting to be discovered. We just need to tune in and listen to the wisdom coming from our accelerated self. Now, let's get to the practical side of all of this. How do we actually use this knowledge in our daily lives? How do we tap into the insights our accelerated self is gathering from these alternate timelines? The first step is learning to recognize the signals that are already there, and then learning how to connect with them. One of the simplest and most powerful ways to access these insights is by practicing twilight communication. The time right before you fall asleep when your mind is still somewhat alert, but you're letting go of the day's thoughts. This is when the temporal gaps are most accessible, and when your accelerated self is ready to send back information. Here's how to make it work. Step 1. Relax and get comfortable. Before bed, take a moment to sit down comfortably. Make sure your spine is aligned, not too stiff but not too slouched either. Think of your spine like an antenna. If it's misaligned, the signal gets blocked. You want to be relaxed but still in a position that's going to allow the best possible connection. Step 2. Present your problem. Clearly, the key here is clarity. Present the situation you're dealing with, whether it's a problem in your career, relationships, health, or any other area of your life, in a simple, clear manner. The trick is not to get caught up in all the potential solutions your mind might create. Don't visualize how things should turn out. Just present the dilemma in a straightforward way, and leave the rest to your accelerated self. Step 3. Let go and trust. Now, here's the tough part. Let go completely. Trust that your accelerated twin already has the answers. Don't try to micromanage the situation or force a particular outcome. It's not about controlling the future. It's about trusting that your double has already scouted it out and is bringing back the right insights. This is actually the most important step. The more you try to control the process, the more you're blocking the flow of information. Trust the process, and you'll start to notice changes. This isn't about forcing solutions into place. It's about learning to open the door to the right ones. The 5-second emotional pivot, a simple yet powerful tool. One of the most effective tools to help you stay connected with your accelerated self is the 5-second emotional pivot. This method is perfect for times when you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or stuck in negative emotional loops. Here's how it works. 1. Pause and breathe. When you feel anxiety or stress creeping in, take a deep breath. 2. Ask yourself. In that moment of stillness, ask yourself, which version of me is already at peace right now? 3. Visualize peace. For exactly 5 seconds, visualize that peaceful version of yourself. Don't try to make it more complicated. Just focus on the peaceful feeling for a brief moment. Why 5 seconds? That's enough time to send a clean signal to your temporal self. If you make it too long, your conscious mind will interfere with the process, adding all sorts of unnecessary details. Shorter bursts don't have enough strength to redirect your focus, but 5 seconds is the sweet spot, a pure, clear signal that shifts your timeline toward a more peaceful future. The 40-day transformation cycle. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This method isn't a quick fix. It's a way to slowly transform your entire life over time, and the best way to do this is through a 40-day cycle. Here's the deal. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, one that takes time. You don't want to rush it. The ancients understood this principle too. The number 40 shows up over and over in different cultures and spiritual traditions, and for a good reason. It's the amount of time it takes to make a fundamental shift in your consciousness. During this 40-day period, your accelerated twin works through 12 temporal compartments, each governing a different aspect of your life. It's like organizing a house. Before you can paint the walls, you need to clean the rooms and make sure the foundation is solid. The process is methodical, but it's incredibly powerful when you allow it to unfold naturally. Days 1 to 3 reconnaissance. Your temporal double surveys the terrain, mapping out your current situation. Days 4 to 6, experimentation. It tests out different possibilities and sees how they might affect the future. Days 7, 9, integration. The optimal changes are made, and the new configuration is woven into your timeline. Repeat this process for all 12 compartments, and by the end of 40 days you'll find yourself transformed, not by forcing change, but by allowing your double to make subtle adjustments in the fabric of your existence. And with that, you've now got the tools to start shifting the way you experience time. You're not just waiting for the future to unfold, you're actively engaging with it, shaping it, and allowing your accelerated self to lead the way. We've talked about understanding the nature of time and the importance of connecting with your double, but now it's up to you to put it into practice. Start small with those 5-second pivots, and over time you'll find yourself navigating life with more ease, more clarity, and more confidence. Let me know how you get on with it. And remember, the future isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create, one breath at a time.